Good evening, FBLA. Welcome to Florida's November webinar. I'm Zachary Sahin, your Florida FBLA State President, and tonight we have some incredible information prepared for you. Now to introduce your officer team. First, we have Nathan Walters, your state reporter.
Hi, sorry, I was having technical difficulties, but thank you everybody for coming back for our November webinar. We're really excited to have you here, and we have some great stuff to share with you.
Next up, we have Amanda Gomez, your state parliamentarian, who unfortunately will not be joining us tonight. Following that is Shady Mina, your state secretary.
Good evening, future business leaders of America. I'm very happy that you're going to be with us tonight, and hopefully you're going to learn a lot about competitions and good strategy.
Next, after that, is Alexandria Brown, your Region 1 Vice President, who will hopefully be joining us a little bit later into the night. Now, introducing Ashley Harris, your Region 2 Vice President.
Hey guys, thanks for coming tonight.
And last but certainly not least, we have Zahra Barrow, your Region 4 Vice President.
Hey guys, thanks for taking your time to listen to us tonight.
District competitions are swiftly approaching. So in tonight's webinar, we will be focused on competitive events. We're going to cover a range of topics from the various types of competitions to how to choose the perfect event for you and more. Also, don't forget to leave any questions you have so we can answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the stream. Now, to give you a brief recap of SFLC. SFLC was a massive blast, and I hope all of the members benefited from this amazing experience. From phenomenal guest speakers like Miss Hit Guest to seminars at Disney, there are so many different opportunities for all members. This weekend, I also attended NFLC in St. Louis, and I got to meet some incredible people from all around the nation. Next year, if you were unable to attend SFLC or NFLC this year, please try to make sure that you can go next year to certainly get to see some of these incredible opportunities and see why FBLA is such a fantastic venture. Also, I look forward to seeing you all at SLC. Before we go any further, remember, if you would like your state officers to visit you, please fill out the state officer visit form in the description below. We will try our best to make sure that we can attend. Also, if you ever have any questions or need anything, please feel free to contact us at all times. Ashley, could you now go over some of the new competition changes this year?
Hey guys, so we have some new information regarding middle school and high school competitions. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a new event that we actually have for the high school level, and that is broadcast journalism. I personally am very excited about this one because it's actually a really cool event if you're interested in communications or like news media or things like that, or just like broadcasts. This is a great competition for you. Plus it's new, so it'd be a really good idea to get your feet in the water with these kind of skills. All team events this year can now be competed by individuals, so that's a really cool thing this year. Attention all 9th and 10th graders. Your events will start with Intro to. So for example, if you have FBLA principles and procedures for 9th and 10th graders, that's your competition is going to be Intro to FBLA principles and procedures and things like that. So it's always going to start with Intro to. So that's how you can sort through what kind of competition you are available to compete in. Also, there are newly revised rating sheets for all of the competitions, so make sure you check those out before you start competing or submitting your work in. That's very important to have. For middle school now, we actually now have events where you can compete at the national level for competitions. Now, these include the middle level business math. It was called business math and financial literacy, but now it's going to be called middle level business math. So you can compete at state and national with these that I'm about to say. So career exploration, intro to computer science and coding, elevator speech, multimedia and website development. Now this was also called middle level computer slideshow and website design. Now it's going to be multimedia and website development, and then community service. Now still, there are more events for the middle level, but these are the only ones that are offered at the state level and do advance for the middle level. The rest of them do not advance them to the national level, so keep that in mind when you choose your competitions. But that's all I have.
Thank you, Ashley. Members, if you have any questions, just leave them in the Q&A in the description below, and we'll answer them during the Q&A portion. Next up will be Nathan delving into choosing the perfect event for you.
So we want all of you to challenge yourself and explore different fields, but we don't always want you to step too far out of your comfort zone, because at the end of the day, we do want you to go as far as going to nationals, and we want you to succeed. So if you personally feel that going too far out of your comfort zone is going to just make your year in FBLA terrible, then we don't suggest you do that. We want you to succeed while also trying new things. So basically what you want to do when you're choosing an event is you want to know your strengths and weaknesses. So basically what we would suggest is looking at each event individually and seeing what the event requires, such as if it requires speaking skills or test taking skills. And you can kind of just go from there and look at what strengths you have and if those can be applied to this event, or if it's not even in your strengths and it's just more of your weaknesses, then maybe you don't want to pick that event. Overall, basically what you want to do is just do enough research and study each event individually, because when you pick your event, it's with you that for the rest of the school year. So if it, like I said, if it's something that you're not going to enjoy, then you shouldn't pick it, because it's going to be with you all school year long. And if you're not going to, if it's going to make your membership year terrible, then why would you pick something like that? So basically, all of the event guidelines are either found on florida-fbla-pbl.com or fbla-pbl.org. That's the national website. But yeah, just go over each event individually and see if it can be your strength or if it's more of your weaknesses. And you can go from there when you're picking your event. And just remember that states will be in Orlando from March 16th to the 19th. And your state officer team looks forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you, Nathan, for that valuable information. We're now going to move into the different competitive event categories, as well as some tips for success with Zahra and Shady. Who would like to get us started?
Okay, so for me, I'm going to talk about tips for success in objective testing, production/projects, and reports. So we'll start off with objective testing. So to start off, there's a lot of study guides and previous tests available to you guys. You guys really should take advantage of this, because it allows you to get familiar with your topics and increases your knowledge. So one thing about the current test, like the test you'll take at district or states or even nationals, they recycle a lot of the old questions. So if you study from those previous tests and learn from your mistakes then you're less likely to mess up on the actual test when it counts. Another thing is, with study guides, there's Quizlets available to you that goes over the materials, vocabulary, and questions, and they're very easy and easily accessible. Whether you're on a bus, you can download Quizlet or just go on Safari or Google Chrome and search it up, and you're able to study on the bus or when you're waiting for something, and that just allows you to incorporate studying for your competitive event during your not really free time, but in between your busy schedule. Another thing is, doing these previous tests can let you check your timing, because timing is very important for objective testing, because you have 60 minutes to take your test. So whether it's a team, a partner test, team test, or individual test, you need to make sure you're aware of your timing, because that can affect whether or not you get fourth place or fifth place. And that getting fourth place at states, you get to go to nationals, but fifth place you don't. So make sure you're checking your timing. Go to these previous tests and learn from them, so you can check your timing, so you can learn the material. And then if you see that question again, hey, that's a great thing. You know, it's not a bad thing to see the question that you already know the answer to on the actual test. So another thing I would say is check the competencies. Am I saying that right? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm going to spell it real quick. ETENCIES. Those are available on the national website, and I'm fairly certain the Florida FBLA website as well. And they list all the tasks that apply to the objective test. So all the things you need to know. And with those tasks, they have specific requirements. So it's kind of like a checklist that you can go over and say, okay, I know that, I know that, I know that. And then if you're able to check out everything on the list, you're most likely going to do very well on your actual test. So that's available to you. So you should take advantage of that. Also, when you're taking your objective test, whenever you take it, the first 10 questions you should do are the last 10 questions. And the reason why I say that is because those are the tiebreaker questions. So when there's two students who have the same score and the same time, they generally go to the last 10 questions of the test and use that as a tiebreaker. So it doesn't hurt you to start your test off by doing those last 10 questions, so that in case there's a tie, you're able to win in case you don't have enough time. So then these tests and recap test how well you know your knowledge. And they do that by testing your accuracy and your speed. So it's all about your efficiency. So it's not only about knowing the information. It's also about how fast you know that information. So that's why tiebreakers are important, because maybe you know the information as fast and as quickly as someone else. They're able to use a tiebreaker last 10 questions. But also just make sure you're practicing knowing your information and also how fast you know it. Because you can know as much information as person B, but if person B finishes the test in 10 minutes and it takes you the entire 60 minutes, they're going to get a higher place than you. So continuing on, the next type of competitive event I want to go over is productions and projects. So this is like an example with this would be mobile application development. You produced a program. Last year you did a fundraising app. So with that, you need to achieve your purpose. Essentially, every year they let out the topics, and you make sure you know what your purpose is and how to achieve it, because you don't want to derail from that, or else you're going to lose points and you may not be able to place it. So not only do you need to achieve your purpose, but you need to be creative. So be familiar with your rubric, because you want to achieve your purpose, you need to know all the points you need to get. And that's just the bare minimum. You want to go past that, and that's where creativity and innovation gets incorporated in it. You need to showcase your skills and abilities so you can get those higher points, because essentially you want to be able to distinguish yourself from your competitors. So if all of you guys do the bare minimum, then the judges won't really remember you. But if you do something that is distinct to just yours, then you're more likely to place higher with that. And there's hundreds of people, or not maybe hundreds, but there's a lot of people competing in your competition. So doing just what the rubric says is important, and you should try to get everything on the rubric, but don't just go for the middle column. Go for the rightmost column. Get as much points as you can as possible. And the last type of competitive event I'll be talking about are reports. So this is like the chapter annual business report. So with that, you need to be careful with your guidelines and requirements. You need to make sure you're mindful of them. Sometimes they have page limits or page want to go over or under that, because that can cause you to be disqualified or so forth. No spell check. I know that sounds silly, but it's pretty bad if you submit to states a report that has spelling errors or grammatical errors. So be cautious of that. You know, the due date may be later. Have a due date that's weeks prior to that, so you have enough time to revise, edit, and so forth. Make sure you're familiar with your guidelines requirements, so you know what information you must have. If you need to have financial information, or if you need to have information about how you incorporated March of Dimes or American Cancer Society, you need to make sure you have all the must-haves in order to, like with productions or projects, you need to have the bare minimum, but you also need to surpass it to make sure your report is distinguishable, so they remember, hey, this is high school A's report. They did a really good job. You remember that. So make sure you do what you're supposed to, but do it in a way that shines your chapter. And then incorporate graphs and pictures, because even though the report is going to have a lot of text and it's going to inform them a lot about your chapter, you need to make sure you put graphs and pictures, so it's kind of a break and it kind of adds that visual aspect. You know, you can talk about how much fun your members had at the social event, but having a picture of them laughing and smile and networking just boosts your report so much more. And like they say, a picture is 1,000 words, so that's how you can beat that word count and just be distinct. So those are my 3 topics. All right, if you have any more questions about any of the competitive events, feel free to leave a question and we'll try to answer it to our best of our ability.
Okay, Shady, you're up.
Thank you. So one of the best competitions in FBLA they're the speech, presentations, and interviews. They not only prepare you in high school, but they go on to your further career. Because I mean, all of us are potentially going to have to do job interviews. All of us are going to have to present either in high school in front of our teachers or in college in front of our classmates. We're all going to have to give a speech one day. So it's critical for you to practice now. That way you're going to be an expert and the top of the top in the future. One of the main key of all these 3 events is that you need to make a good first impression. Research shows that the judge or your interviewer, they decide if you're going to be a good or bad in 10 seconds. So part of doing that is you need to dress for success. So I strongly recommend that you follow the Florida FBLA Pbl Dress Code. This will make you dress for success. So first, as I said before, make sure that you dress appropriately. Second, do your research before. Don't do it the night of or the morning of, as I've seen some people do. No, you have weeks and months in advance. So use your time wisely. It's a good skill. It's a good way to practice your time management. There's many resources available to you online. For instance, you can go to YouTube and look up previous Public Speaking 1, Public Speaking 2, Impromptu Speaking. You can go there and look about how job interview works, the tips and strategies for a job interview. You can go and see how people give a speech, how they develop their argument, etc. So all these resources are truly helpful to you. Second, you have the rubric. The rubric that the judges are going to be using, you have it. So use it. Give it to your advisor, give it to your teacher, give it to your peers, and do the same exact thing and see how they're going to rate you and get their feedback, because constructive feedback is critical to your success. So if you're, for instance, in your FBLA meeting and you're doing a presentation for your competitive event, have that presentation ready and present it with your group in front of all the chapters, in front of your advisor, in front of multiple teachers if you can. That way you're ready. You know exactly how you're going to go. You exactly know your time, because a lot of these events have restricted time, and have the rubrics done by your advisor so that they can judge you and give you that feedback needed before you go into the actual competition. Second, if you're doing a team event, so I know, for instance, a lot of the presentation, like sales presentation, or let's say sports entertainment management, a lot of these are team presentations or network, or or marketing. Make sure that you show your team. So I think for males, if you have the same tie, it shows that, oh, that's Unity. Wow, they have the same tie. Or for females, I know last year a lot of the members, they had the same dresses, which shows, wow, they're united. They're working as one team, and that's what you want to accomplish. These small little things may not seem important, but it could be the difference, as we said before, from getting that first or second place. So make sure that you practice and practice. Practice is key in these events. Look up resources online of how speeches are given, job interview in general, like interview tips and strategies, and practice in front of your judges, your peers, and your advisor. That way you're ready for the day of the competition.
Thank you both for those one-of-a-kind tips. I would now like to open the floor for any of the other state officers to offer any tips that they have concerning the different competitions.
Well, basically, the only tip I would have is something that Shady already touched base on, and it's just practicing in front of different groups of people, because something that a lot of kids at my school like to say, the hardest people to present in front of are your friends. So if you can get comfortable with presenting in front of your friends and other members in your chapter, chances are you're going to place higher at competition. I can guarantee you that most of the teams going up on stage at states and nationals are people who continuously practice, and it might seem time consuming at the time, but hard work pays off in the end. So just keep practicing over and over again.
Yeah. A quick story with hard work and practicing. The national parliamentarian, I got to meet him and get to know him a little bit better this weekend at NFLC, and he let me know that for the 3 months before his competition, before Parley Pro, he would study 6 hours a day. He studied constantly. When he got to NLC, all he did was study. You know, when you put forth that hard work and dedication, it really pays off. And as you can see, right now, he's our incredible national president, national parliamentarian, on the national team with, you know, all the other amazing members on that team. Max Mitchell, our national president, before he got to his competition, he studied, he worked hard, and then he ended up bringing it home, winning it hard at nationals the year before, last year. So just working hard, it really pays off. Ashley, would you like to add anything?
Yes, sorry, my computer was freezing. But there's something that my chapter is actually putting on for the kids that are new to competitions or they like to have practice with it. And so Thursday night, our chapter is going to have a competition showcase. So every kid that's going to be competing.
I'm sorry, but I think we're having just a little bit of technical difficulties tonight. So we'll go ahead and continue while we wait for Ashley to return. One more note with hard work. I know he probably won't mention it on here, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it up right now. But one of our own state officers, Shady Mina, actually got first place in job interview this past year. And yeah, we're really proud of him. I know we were all backstage when he won, and we're so excited. And, you know, I bet he can tell you himself how hard he worked to, you know, pull that off. Shady?
Yeah, so as Zach said, it takes a lot of hard work, but it's the team behind you that that strengthen you. So my best state officer team, all the chapter members and my chapter advisor, my state advisor, all my district directors, they all come. So you want to build that relationship with all your peers. And one thing that could also help is all the officer team, the local officer team that are watching us tonight, you can have what we call competition workshop days. Like right after your monthly meeting, or let's say, one time a week before the competition, and show the members how they can use it. When I say research, I don't only mean like the internet or YouTube or Quizlet or any of the other websites. Look up books. Books are helpful. For instance, there's a lot of books that tells you, like tips and strategies to interviews, how to make a good first impression. Use these resources wisely. And if you have someone in your chapter that competed in the same event that you did last year, please help them. They're part of your chapter. And as Zach and everyone said, we're an FBLA family. So make sure that you practice and you support one another.
Thank you, Shady. Ashley? I don't know if we're still having some technical difficulties. Ashley, if you'd like to continue from earlier, I think that should get you back. Okay, we're still having a little bit of technical difficulty, so we'll go ahead and continue.
Hey, sorry. That keeps getting messed up. I don't know why. I don't think we have good service out here right now. But what I was saying is that we have a chapter showcase. I'm going to try and finish this before I lose connection again. But just all the students, they come, and we have like 2 or 3 classrooms set up that are donated by the teachers. And so we had the students come in with judges from the community, and they just judge their competitions and their reports and material, and gives them good feedback, positive and negative feedback, so they can improve before their district competition comes up. So I urge you, for your chapter, if y'all have time, to create like a showcase or like a practice day where all of your students can come and like practice before your competition. That would really help.
Thank you, Ashley. Would any of the other officers like to share anything?
Yes, I would. As all the officers have stressed about practicing before your presentations or before your competitions, one thing is, when you're practicing in front of these judges, one helpful advice is give them the rubric so they can actually rate you. And then maybe in a week or so, or in a month or so, give them a rubric again and see if you improved or not. So that's one way you can measure your improvement, and they can give you tips for advice. If you have an open competition, what I did last year at districts, my competition was open to viewers. I had my friends, the ones who I knew would actually give me good criticism and compliments, I had them come in and take notes. So they sat behind the judges, and they just took notes of everything I can improve on before state competitions. So that's just ways to incorporate peer counseling into your competition preparations.
Thank you, Zahra. Thank you, everyone, for great tips. I'll go ahead and share one last thing before we move on to our Q&A. This sort of ties in. This is an overarching thing, and it ties in with the business world and with FBLA right now. Make sure to fully schedule out any plans you have or anything to complete your task. Put a date and time limit to ensure that you stay focused on everything. In businesses all around the world, different project managers, they utilize these tools. One such tool being a Gantt chart. Within a Gantt chart, it allows you to build sort of a timeline for whatever project you're working on. And in the Gantt chart, you can schedule due dates for certain things. You can schedule different times and how much time you'd like to spend on a certain activity within your overarching task. So if you'd like, go online, look up a Gantt chart and construct one of your own. Set due dates, set timelines, set different checkpoints for you as an individual so that you're making sure you're always staying focused on, you're always heading towards completing that task. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to the Q&A session. This is where you can leave your questions in the chat, and I will read them out, and then the officers will answer them. So we actually have our first question, which is, where can the practice test be found? I thought the test frenzy samples were taken down. So Zahra, I know you spoke on practice tests. Would you like to answer this?
Hello, great question. I have been doing a lot of research for a lot of the objective tests to have more resources available to our members, and I was able to find a lot of the old former practice tests. I know on the national website they offer approximately 2 sample tests for certain objective tests, about 10 questions, but I've been able to find some full actual tests. And if you want to tell me what competition you're in, you can just email me and I can send you any links that I found. Or if you want to know a full resource, we'll try to send it out to all the members. I just generally Google let's see, objective test would be advertising. I'll Google FBLA advertising sample guides. Now find some former tests and Quizlets that are made by FBLA advisors or members, and that's how I've been able to get a lot of my resources.
Thank you, Zahra. On terms of resources, would anyone else like to share anything in terms of finding resources? I know, Shady, you touched on using books earlier.
Yeah, so I know a lot of the advisors actually have books that help with business plan, business calculation, accounting. They have a lot of books for interviews, marketing. So ask your advisor. They're here to support you, and we're all here to assist as well. Go to the library if you can't find any books with your advisor, either your school library or your local library. Make sure to visit it and get a lot of resources from there. Also, one thing, if you're doing the presentation, speech, or interviews, they're very, I can't emphasize it enough, make sure to shake the judge's hands. It shows very respect. Thank them for their time. Make that eye contact and make sure that you're being enthusiastic throughout the whole entire presentation. Also, one thing I have seen, do not put your hands in your pocket when you're speaking. It's very disrespectful. It's not professional. So make sure you're following professional guidelines so that you can be demonstrated as best.
Thank you, Shady. Would any of the other state officers like to add anything? Okay. Well, one of the things that I've learned is take advantage not just of online sources or of books and whatnot. Take advantage of the people around you, your peers. I know that everyone's touched on this, but it truly hits home when you get out into the community. You know, ask your parents, ask your people, you know, where your parents work, ask their employees or ask the fellow people that work with them. Try to get as much view as you can on your project. Try to get as much insight from everyone around you. You want to make sure that it's not just you or it's not just your school looking into something. It's the entire community helping you to be the best that you can be. It also truly connects with the future in FBLA. You know, when you go on, you can go into PBL, professional division, and all of these different levels, they're there to help. They're there to connect. It sort of shows you what the real business world is like. It's about those connections. It's about working together. So make sure you're taking advantage of it now. Start now. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to the next question. For network design, do I create my own project and bring it with me, or do they give a topic there? Who would like to answer this question? Okay. I believe specifically with network design, you can always check the guidelines on the FBLA Florida website as well as the national website. For state competition, you can stick with the Florida website, and sometimes it differs within your district. But with network design, I believe that you are able to construct. If it does not say there's a topic on the website, then you're able to construct your own. But if it does give you a topic, then you need to fit within those guidelines.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to look up on the website and the national website to see if I could find anything regarding that. And just with the time, I haven't been able to see anything. But if you have any questions and you can't figure it out on your own, I think Zahra already said, feel free to email any of the officers, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. And if we don't know it, then we'll find somebody who does. So.
Okay, and to add on, I just researched it. So network design, just a brief recap. So it's a team event, and then you all take a test, and only top 5 get to present, and you're giving your case study at the moment, and you get some time to collaborate and discuss. And then I think you get about 10 minutes. I'm not certain about this, 10 to 15 minutes. You're giving your case study, you get that time, collaborate, take notes, and then you do a presentation. So it's given to you on the spot. You don't choose your topic. They give it to you.
Thank you all. As you can see, if we don't know the question immediately, we'll figure it out and we'll let you know. You can always email us as well after the webinar or contact us through our social media, and we're there to help. So are there any other questions? We'll keep waiting for them.
While we're waiting, I just want to go ahead and mention that the articles for the Winter Communicator are due by November 30th, and all you have to do is just submit an article. You can include pictures if you want, and just send them to my email. It's in the description. It's just FBLA rep@floridafbla-pbl.com. and we'll go ahead and try to feature you in the winter edition of the Communicator. So it's a really good opportunity to showcase what your chapter has been doing, and it'll also help other chapters get ideas of what they can be doing throughout the year. So it's highly recommended that you guys all try to submit those articles to, you can send it to any officer's email, and all of our emails are in the description below. But the deadline is November 30th. So just wanted to add that FYI.
Yeah, and the email is also in the live chat. The representative's email for you to send that is also in the live chat, so you can send it there as well. Okay. There's no other question. We can still just go around and sort of talk about a variety of different tips and specific competitions. Would any of the state officers like to share some things from their specific competition that they participated in last year they think would help any of the members?
I can share one general one that you probably hear a lot for testing. If you're doing objective testing, don't spend the whole night before trying to cram it all in. Get a good night's sleep. It's crucial for you to be able to pay attention that next morning. Have breakfast. All these tiny little things could actually help you on the test or if you're presenting. And yeah, use your resources, plan ahead, know exactly how you will do. I know a lot of events, you need to take an objective test to qualify for the performance, or you have to do both. So be careful, like review the guidelines. Sports and entertainment management, future business leader, or all these events, you take an objective test and you also give a performance. So we don't want you not taking the objective test and then not having to perform. So please make sure, as we highly emphasize, to review all the guidelines.
Thank you, Shady. Zahra, would you like to add anything? I think the connection may have just cut out. We'll go ahead and continue. And Nathan, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, just one tip that I would have for presentation events is something that you're taught throughout school is to like create a planning sheet when you're writing an essay. And sometimes you just blow it off because you don't want to put in that extra time, and just because it seems like something small. But in the long run, it's going to be really helpful if you're doing a presentation event and you sit down and you make like an outline or just a planning sheet of everything that you want to include in your project. So that way, when you're done with it, you can go back to that planning sheet and you can look at if you forgot anything that your original idea had. And it just helps you keep on track and stick to the topic. So if you can, I would highly suggest that you do like a planning sheet or just a general outline, because in the long run, it'll probably be really helpful for you.
Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, planning is always key. Make sure you can plan as much as possible. Ashley, would you like to add anything in specific about your competition last year? The connections are a little off tonight. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we'll go ahead and continue with the next question, which is, how do team presentations work? So I'll go ahead and get us started, and then Shady and Nathan can add in some stuff as well. Team presentations, it varies on the competition. Some of them are you just work together as a team to go ahead and create a presentation yourself that you present at your district competition or the state competition. And you sort of do it as a group, you work together on it, and then at the competition itself, you'll present it in front of judges. It's sort of similar, it's the exact same thing as a individual presentation, but with the group aspect involved. There's also different sort of role-playing activities, role-playing events that can be done in a team where you take some of them you take a test ahead of time, and then you're given a scenario, you have time to design it, and then you go in and role-play. These different things can be individual or as a team. With team, it's more of the individual, but taken to that next aspect with a group. Would you guys like to add anything?
Hey, am I back and am I all good?
Yes, you are. You're all good,
Okay.
Zahra? We're currently answering the question on how do team presentations work. Is there anything you'd like to add about that?
Ooh, team presentations. I have done this a lot, not just for FBLA, but for I do a lot of group activities and research projects. So I have done quite a few team presentations. So some tips of advice, like Shady touched on, the whole coordination. You don't have to have the same exact outfit, but having having a chosen color scheme is very helpful, because that really is appealing to the judge's eyes and it looks very professional, neat, and nice. Another thing is what my team and I like to do. certain amount of, if you have more than 2 team members, or even if you have 2, try to split yourselves amongst the screen. Don't have your entire group clustered on one side of the screen. Try to have it evenly split between the screens, so that causes the judges to look back and forth and they're not just looking in one specific direction the entire time. And another thing we like to do is we like to stand in a line, and then when one person's speaking, that person will step up, speak, and then once they're done, they will step back. They won't turn around and step back, but they will just step back professionally, nicely, not a huge giant leap or anything. It's just a nice simple step. And that just it kind of shows that they're speaking, and that allows everyone else to just pay attention to them as well as the presentation, and it gets the judges' attention because they notice you step up and they direct their attention to the person speaking. And it's really helpful with question and answer sessions as a team, because sometimes the question may not be specified to a certain member. So rather than you guys all try to talk all at once, what you can do is one person step up, so whoever steps up first gets to speak, and then they step back when they're done speaking, so then the other person can step up, and that just allows everyone to speak without people interrupting each other or over talking one another. And with team presentations, one thing I like to say is it shouldn't be individual presentations that you just have in a sequence, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. No, it should be connected, entwined, or so. One person shouldn't just talk about one thing. Each person should touch on everything, so all the members of the team look informed, and it shows the judges that you all worked on it together rather than you split up in parts and then everyone did their own part. Connect what person A says to what person B and C says. So it's always connecting. It shows the team, the networks. You have all these wires connecting because you are, as a team, you have multiple brains, and each brain didn't do one thing. Each brain worked together to get the overall outcome. So make sure you do that. And I guess that's all my advice for teams. So just make sure you look presentable. You are courteous of each other when you're speaking by doing the whole step up thing, because that looks professional. Make sure you all know your information, so when you do have questions, you're able to relay, answer them professionally, quickly, and very informatively. So questions to answers are a great opportunity to expand on things you didn't say. So one thing I like to do if I have a time crunch and my I can only fit certain information in my presentation time, I would, for question and answers, I'll answer the questions and try to relate it to some other information I have for backup, because then that allows me, that kind of extends my time without getting points off. So yeah, just those little tricks and tricks.
Thank you, Zahra.
Tips and tricks. Okay.
Thank you, Zahra. Okay. Shady, Nathan, do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
Go ahead, Shady. It's fine.
Thank you. Yeah. As Zahra said, and all of us said, thank you for mentioning the when you step up, because that shows professionalism and yet ending there. Try to integrated with one another and you look as a team, look united.
Thank you, Shady. Nathan?
So all I was going to say is Zahra basically touched off of one thing that we do in our chapter is stepping up so you know when somebody's going to talk. But another thing that we implement, or that we try to do, is we have a 3-second rule. So basically, if somebody forgets what they're going to say, you just count to 3 and then you step in and help them out. Because as with any public speaking project, the people that you're presenting in front of don't know what you're supposed to say. So if you just go in and step in, like, that's fine. So you shouldn't worry that the judges are going to be like, oh, well, this person totally forgot their lines. As long as you don't show it and you step in to where the other person, maybe they forgot what they were going to say, that's something that you should do, because the judges, they'll know if you just stop cold and you stop and you're just trying to think for like 10 seconds. But if you just step in and somebody else helps out, it really helps show unity as well.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, everyone. One of the big things that, Nathan was saying is we all have those moments where we just blank. You know, there's always those times where you may not remember something, or you can't, you don't know what to say. You know what to say, but you just can't get the words out. And it's important that you prepare for those moments. With what Nathan said, that's a great idea with the 3-second rule. Try to find your own way as well. If you do ever have any tips, let us know and we can share them with the state. You know, we are a family. FBLA works together. So if you ever want to share anything, or you ever have any questions, always feel free to contact us. Okay? So we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. The next question is, do you have any suggestions for competitors testing an intro to business communications?
Yes, I can. One of the first competitions I've done, look up a lot of grammar and punctuation.
And I
You know the correct use of the previous, like tests or Quizlets. This business communication, a lot of writing and how you would speak its skill, how businesses will like send official reports and documents to one another, to make sure that correct. If you're a good writer, introduced communication is wonderful for you. So make sure to know the grammar concepts and the writing. So like memos, reports, all the different types. That way you're ready. And I'll emphasize it again. Don't spend up the whole night before trying to, what's an independent clause or dependent clause, or what's a preposition. You should have planned your time wisely so that you've done this before, so that the night before you're just maybe reviewing, making final tips, maybe taking one practice test, and make sure to get a good night's sleep that night before competition.
Thank you, Shady. And again, I apologize if there's any cutting out or any little bit of technical difficulties. Sometimes computers just don't want to work. Zahra?
Okay, so something I touched on earlier was going on the national website and looking at the competencies, because they are pretty much checklists for objective testing. So I'm looking at Introduction to Business Communication right now, and the one groups they have is consumerism, and then with consumerism they have 8 specific tasks that you should know. And they have other groups like characteristics and organization of business and investments, and they have more. So I would suggest just to go to this national website for whatever objective test or any competition you have, and look at those specific guidelines, because like I said, it's a checklist that you can go through to make sure you know all that information, and you can search the specific task up for practice problems. And then one thing is, with looking at the national website, be cautious, because sometimes state guidelines and national guidelines may differ. So with state, you may have a presentation or you may have a live presentation, and nationals may not require that. So you can look at the national website, but always be sure to double check with state guidelines or district guidelines. They could all differ.
Thank you, Zahra. And one thing to note is the national team, as well as your state officer team, we've both been working hard on different resource guides and getting resources out to you. So we're going to continue completing these things, and they're full of great information. So when we send them out, they'll have a ton of information just for you to use. Okay. Would anybody like to add anything about that question? If not, we'll go ahead and continue.
Can I hear the question? Sorry, I cut out.
That's okay. So the question is, do you have any suggestions for competitors testing an intro to business communications?
Oh, I never took that, but I can offer some assistance. You can get books at your local library. I know at our library we have tons of books for FBLA competitions, so usually we just send our students there during the class period to check out books that are regards to testing or things like that. So always check with your library close by, because I'm sure they can have something that will be helpful or useful.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. Do you have any advice on motivating club members that are a part of small town chapters to compete at the state competition? Okay, so I'll go ahead and let the other state officers take it, and then I'll answer. Who would like to go ahead and get us started?
Basically the one thing that our chapter does, I mean, we can't force anybody to attend states, because at the end of the day, it is ultimately their choice. But rather than just showing them, oh, you have to take this event, you have to go to these workshops, and even though the workshops are fun and we have good motivational guest speakers, we just try to show them the fun side of competition. Like at the beginning of the school year, we showed them the Think Back video from last year's state conference, and we really just have chapter members explain to the other members just how fun states is, and how even though you do have to compete and you have to go to some workshops, ultimately you're getting to bond with friends and just meet new people, and it really is a good experience at the end of the day.
Thank you, Nathan. I'll go ahead and add on and add some more information with it. One of the big things to emphasize, we are high schoolers. If you're looking at it from the high school perspective, emphasize the college and the benefits that come from winning different competitions or getting to go to nationals. By competing at the state, you're opening up the door for so many other things. You're opening up the door for networking. You're opening up the door to go see new places. Orlando is amazing. You can go to Disney. There's a lot of fun to be found there. But there's also different benefits that come with winning a competition. You win the competition, that's a good thing to put on a resume. It's a good way to show that when you get dedicated to something, when you get involved, you go all the way in with it. Now that you've won states, you can move on to nationals. I know this year nationals is in Baltimore. You can explore different places all around the country just by competing at the state competition. Try to emphasize these different benefits. If there's a benefit, if there's a reward at the end of the road, many times a lot of members dive headfirst to make sure that they can complete and head towards these opportunities.
If I could add on, one thing I would say, if you're from a smaller community and want to try to get members out there, they might be scared of seeing so many people in a big environment because there's thousands of people at our conference. But you can remind them that you can do little fun club activities outside of just Hilton or Orlando. Like Zach said, there's so much to explore. So get them with the academics and as well as the fun aspects of FBLA, because with FBLA you have a lot of leisure time after workshops and competitions, so that allows you to go explore the cities, to go have chapter bonding activities, and you can network. So try to excite them about, hey, one thing my chapter does is, I believe on the second night we all go out. In fact, I think it's the entire district. We all go out and eat dinner together. So that's just something you could do. Say, hey, it's not just you competing. It's a chance to bond, network, and have fun, and then advance and get these scholarships and build your resume, like as Zach has said.
Thank you, Zahra. Would anybody like to add anything?
Yeah, usually with my chapter, we have no problem having students want to go to the state level. They're actually really excited once we tell them that they stay in a nice hotel and there's a lazy river and a volleyball court and basketball court. Usually when we start saying those things, they're very eager to go. But once you start talking about how you get to go to the sessions, like some students don't even understand how fun our sessions can really be. There's lights, there's music. You're always interested in the show that's put on. So FBLA does an excellent job of putting on our sessions, and they're not boring, not at all. I can't tell you a session that I've been to that is boring. They always. So our students are really, that's their highlight of their year, is going to state. And then if they even pass state, going to nationals, it's always fun traveling to a different state. So I know when we went to California, I mean, who doesn't want to go to California? You get to see the sun, you get to see all the stars and things like that. So usually if you tell them all the cool bonuses that go along with our conferences, they're eager to go.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, would anyone like to add anything before we move on to the next question? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. Do you have any tips for somebody doing an e-business? Does anybody like to answer that question? Nathan?
I actually competed in this event last year and we made it to nationals. Unfortunately, we didn't place at nationals, and I did website design my freshman year. So basically what I would suggest is, if you're doing a team event or if you're just doing it by yourself, just go into the topic and totally dissect the topic. Like, just go in and take out each part of it and then put it into what we did was we made a paper and we basically outlined what the website was going to look like. So we had all of our main tabs that we wanted on there and then where each part of the topic would go to. So that way, when you're creating the website, making the actual content, what is going to go where and what content you're going to have in there. So basically you can just keep going, and it saves a lot of time when you have it all laid out right there in front of you. So that way when you're online making your website, you don't have to think, oh, well, what should go here, what should go there. It just saves a lot of time, and it guarantees that you meet all aspects of the topic as well.
Thank you, Nathan. Zahra?
Okay, with e-business, it's a pre-judged project and presentation. So one thing I would say, because I did electronic career portfolio, and that was a pre-judged project. The thing with pre-judged projects, the judges don't get to meet you. They don't get to learn about what you meant by that. So things need to be clear, concise, informative, and also visually pleasing. So with a pre-judged project, you need to go all out in order to make sure that you're able to get the spot for the chance to present. Like Nathan said, dissect it and hit every part of the rubric because every point counts. Because you're not there to pretty much spice up your project. The judges are only with that not you. It's just the judges and your project. So you need to make sure that project represents you and all your hard work very well in order to move on and get a chance to present and then get a chance place.
One thing also I want to add that I didn't touch base on is with e-business, you're making a website based off the topic. So what we did last year was we looked up tons of different websites that went with the topic. So that way, when we're creating the website, we can look at like, well, what do people expect to see in their website? What do they like? What are the buyers looking for when they go onto a website to make them want to buy from your website to make it look just accurate? So that's another thing is if you just look up different examples, not necessarily FBLA examples, just real world examples so you can make it that much more lifelike.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Zahra. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. If we haven't started a competition yet, is it still possible to go to states this year? So I'll go ahead and start this question off and then let the other state officers answer it as well. With it, don't worry. If you haven't started yet, it's perfectly fine. It's all based around your district competitions. That's what determines whether or not you can go and compete at state. If you haven't started yet, it's okay. Relax, breathe in, and just get started now. Choose your competition, choose your event, and just get to work. Spend a little bit of time every single day, and you have a shot at making it. It's never too late to get started. Okay, would anybody like to add?
Yes, if I may, you can always attend the state leadership conference as a member at large or as a voting delegate. So let's say it was a competition, you picked it, and you did not get the top 3 or top 4 in your district to qualify. You can go as a member at large or go as a voting delegate for your chapter. And according to bylaws, there's a specific amount of voting delegates and members at large that each chapter could bring according to the membership.
Thank you, Shady. Zahra?
Yeah, so as Zach said, it really just depends on your district. If district deadlines have already passed and it's too late for you to sign up for a competition, then it's not too late. You can try to as Shady said, be a voting delegate or a member at large, but that really depends on your chapter. Your advisor can select their voting delegates and the member at large. It may differ. For my chapter, you can't go to states unless you at least try to do something in districts. But it just all depends on your chapter advisor. But if it's not too late, I would suggest choosing a competition, studying, and getting ready for it.
Thank you, Zahra. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. When are the survival guides for various competitions being released? So with this, the survival guide is going to be released at the end of the month. One of the big things with it, with the different competitions is, I know that Zahra's been the big officer involved in getting the competition material together for it. She's been working hard on contacting past winners and getting quotes and different information, trying to bring together things that is not normally found on the website. Zahra, would you like to add on to this?
Okay, so yeah, I've been working very hard and diligently on that part of the survival guide, and I still have the other officers with all the parts of the survival guide. But specifying on competitions, like Zach said, I contacted national and state level winners to get quotes from them. I got a list of practice tests or former actual tests from not only Florida but also other states, and I've put that in the survival guide. I kind of just want to wait. I'm trying to get as much as I can. I have links and so forth. I could use more quotes from other winners because it's kind of sometimes hard to access. So if you are a state winner or a national winner, please email me. My email is listed in the comments so that you can help other members succeed and help develop and further grow Florida FBLA as a whole. Because essentially we're all one team. We're all one family, like Zach said. So with the competitions, we're going to try to get that out by the end of the month. So it'll be there before district competitions. But we're working really hard at them. We have a lot of the competitions done. They're all sorted by their categories by who can compete in them. So it's very easily manageable, and you get through it very conveniently. And the resources are getting there, so I can't wait to get that out to you guys, because that's something I stressed during my campaign. And I hope you guys really look forward to it. Thank you to my officers and the members for all helping me during this process. So thanks.
Thank you, Zahra. I know that she's done an absolutely incredible job on working on putting together the different resources for the competitions. Okay. So that's all the time we have tonight. I apologize, but if you do have any more questions, just email us or contact us. We are here to help. I hope you all gained some valuable insight into the different competitions, and I wish you the best of luck. If you ever need anything, once more, we are here to help you. Thank you for joining us, and have an outstanding night. Bye.